Yes, come on, brother. I
Okay,
just had the pleasure of checking you out on your live. And at first I wanted to fight the young man for you until
yeah.
I found out.
You know what, man? That's the weird thing. Like, I'm getting to a point now where I see things differently a little bit. I'm like, okay, well, what you talking about? What did I do? Tell me what the problem is, and maybe we can fix it. You know, I can't see myself, so I'm trying to see if you can see me.
I see you. Yeah, I see you. Beautiful background. I definitely love it. So everybody, once again, this is comedian and actor Mr. Robert L. Hines. And I got an honor to have you. He is now the second guest of season 5. Welcome to the premiere day of One on One with Courtney Starks. Before we kind of get into the nitty gritty of everything, I know we say this real late, but Happy New Year. I gotta get it.
Happy New Year to you, brother, and everybody out there. Happy New
Everybody out here. For those of you who may not know who Robert L. Hines is, please tell us a little about who you are and what you do.
I am a stand-up comedian, and I am also the living embodiment of the character known as Toby Jones. Not only do I do that, I also write. I'm writing TV shows now. I'm writing a TV show. I wrote a film. I wrote another TV show with a group of guys. So I'm getting my creativity on these.
Yeah.
And most of all, and this is most important, let me just add this thing. I am supporting Black business to the 10th of my ability. You understand? To the 10th power of my ability. If you have a Black business that you want to amplify, get in my inbox. And if all of us work together, we can get this thing done.
Come on. I love to hear this stuff, especially because we talk about being the village that we need. And most of us are doing this. And none of us are doing this. You know what I mean? So I love to hear us supporting one another. You know, I know you got your start back a while ago. So let's talk about being a Chicago native and wanting to do stand-up. When did that kind of become a thing for you? Did you find yourself always being funny? Were you the one getting in trouble in school all the time? How did this come about for you?
It's interesting. It's a couple of things. Well, the most important thing, or the first thing, was that I was about 4 years old, and I was watching the Tonight Show with my dad. My dad was working midnight, and I saw Franklin Ajay, and I was like, the world don't get no cooler than Franklin. And I thought right then, I want that job. And I would see dudes like him and Richard Belzer. Like, as white folks go, Richard Belzer, pretty cool vibe.
You know, and being in this for so long, being a comedian, icon. I think people don't understand. He's so humble, y'all. He's really humble, but he's an icon. Mr. Hines is an icon. He has worked with some of the greatest, being mentored by some of the greatest. Just to name drop the late, great Bernie Mac himself, Talk about being a part of that circuit and being mentored by some of those greats.
Well, Bernie was not the most patient dude in the world. He was a sweetheart. Don't get me wrong. It's like this. It was worth the aggravation to get the education. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
He would say things to you, though, boy. One time, so okay, to tell you how far this go back, over on 89th in Stony Island, they got a place called The Dating Game. They used to do comedy in The Dating Game. Now, the thing about Black comedy is, back then we didn't have a whole lot of clubs, so you just put a place where you could put it. And The Dating Game is not at all conducive for comedy. It's a huge bar in the middle of it, and it's a little dance floor on the corner. So the dance floor is the stage, and none of these people came to see comedy.
No.
And I am horrible. The show is horrible. So Bernie come up next to me, and as he's walking past me, this is while we are passing each other, as he's going back up to the stage, he goes, one of these days you're going to quit effing up. No! Everybody's listening. And then he says, if I can make them laugh, you can make them laugh.
Come on.
And then he walked up on stage and beat the hell out of these after work people. Like, just started talking about each and every person he could see. And by the time he got through, the show was really hot. Like, really.
So what did that teach you? I know you mentioned in the Tribune that one of your other mentors, Shay Shay, told you about sharing your pain. Did that help you kind of open up a bit more about what it took to be in comedy and kind of make people, number one, laugh at your pain and share these stories to kind of find some healing? How did that journey work out for you?
As soon as he said it, I got 10 times funnier. I was cuddly. I was cute. I was the black guy that everybody could accept. You know what I mean? I was the Bill Cosby dude minus the rape. You know what I'm saying? That was me. And so because of that, I could get away with a lot.
Yeah.
But after that, you're gonna have to have some substance. And what Shay was telling me was, man, whatever bothers you the most, start talking about it. And once I started doing that, it changed everything. So now at this point in my experience, it is way different the things that bother me than used to. You know what I mean? So this whole new generation of comedy I'm about to start doing is going to be really fun to do.
Let's talk a little bit about this. And I mentioned this before in one of my lives about the generational differences, right? Having to go up and be booed, right? And be rotten tomato style versus now where you can do a reel or do a 20-second thing and now you're instantly famous. Do you feel like the change in generations has made it easier and less impactful for people to just now get up and say anything versus having to study your craft and know what you're doing before you get out here?
Well, here's what tends to happen. I think that there is always going to be a positive to every negative.
Yeah.
And the negative is that we are seeing some people who aren't ready yet, who are kind of raw.
Yeah.
But the overall positive will be that you will appreciate that person as they document themselves and go to the other side.
Yeah.
So what I tend to do is I tend to sit in the positive. So I can take watching somebody that's trash for a little while. It'll be all right. You know what I mean? Because I want to watch them develop, and that I enjoy.
Yeah, I like that. And and this business is not easy, right? Like especially now, right? Because everything is so every 5 seconds, somebody's new, somebody's hot, somebody drops. And it's like you never get true substance with the way social media is now. But for you, was there an aha moment for you when you knew that you'll be able to make a living doing comedy?
It's kind of weird because what I will tell you is a two-part answer. Now, at one point, I was very sick. I weighed 320 pounds. I'm about 5'10", 5'9" and a half.
Yeah.
And a lot of it had to do, even now when I think about it, I get a little anxious. When I was working in that jail, it really, really hurt me. Like it was really hard to watch real dudes that I know were better men than the men that were guarding them be treated the way they was treated. You know what I mean? Like it really damaged me. So I was really big and I was really uncomfortable. And I was still on dialysis at this point. My kidneys had died and I'm on dialysis. And I'm traveling the country in the Midwest doing comedy. And I'm starting to realize, and it never occurred to me then because at that point, my energy was towards staying alive and trying to be funny. Staying alive and trying to be, didn't sit back and look at what was going on around me. Like a lot of those places I kept going back to that nobody else wanted to go to. Right. And I got to the point where these people kind of dug me and I figured out afterwards, they would come back to see me again. You see what I'm saying? And that was a bit of an aha moment for that. And then at this point in my experience, I finally figured out that I might be really good at this.
Yeah.
I might have to accept, as hard as it is, I might have to accept that I may be special.
I love that. I love that, right? Like that worth. Like I have to find myself worthy because they're seeing the value in this, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
You mentioned something, and we both share this in common: kidney disease.
Yes.
My kidney shut down in 2008. And I, when I was young, I was 19 and in college, and next thing you know, I'm on dialysis and don't know what's going on. And I advocate now, especially for Black men, to go to the doctor, know what you're talking about, know what they're talking about, and challenge them when it comes to your health and your well-being. You mentioned this and having a rare kidney disease. Talk to us a little bit about what that was for you, what happened, and where are you now right now? I know you're also vegan.
Yes.
which is something I can't. I'm not there. God's not through with me eating chicken and pork. But listen, let's talk about this because it's really weird that I have these conversations with other brothers who have gone through this. So I want to hear about your journey and how did you find strength trying to go through this, navigating dialysis?
Wow, this is really a deep question. Well, the first part was my wife. So initially what had happened was about 1998, I found out I had this really rare kidney disease. And back then I was pretty big.
Yeah.
And I lost a little bit of weight. And then I lost the weight. And then all of the symptoms went away. Everything was better. And being hard-headed, I went back to my old behavior. And a lot of that had to do, like, you know, you a comic, you get off work at night and then you go.
You want to binge, right?
Yeah, house, chicken. You know, eating all this stuff getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So eventually what happened is right around 2008, 2009, I started to get really sick. Like it started to be very obvious that something was wrong.
Yeah.
And if you remember, the very first Jones video was called Jones Big Ass Truck Rental. I was at my worst right about.
Oh, wow.
And I was getting to, I wasn't at my worst. I was starting to, that's when the whole process was starting to, I was falling apart.
Yeah.
I was at my worst and I was, because once you get on dialysis, they have to give you dialysis through more than one way. And dialysis is where they take all the blood out of you, release the waste, and then put the blood back in.
Yes.
So I at that point, right at 2008, that's when I lost kidney function. And then when you first get there, they have ways of doing it. They could give it to you through your stomach or through your arm or wherever a vein and an artery they could put together. Called the fistula. So in order for you to get attached to this machine, you got to get this fistula thing. Now, when they first give it to you, you sick enough, they give it to you straight through your chest.
Yes.
And they have a positive and a negative. This thing can't get wet. I cannot take showers. So I'm trying to wash up around and I kept getting infections.
And they give you that stupid little cover that doesn't do anything.
Doesn't do anything. And so eventually at one point I was getting infections so often and going these high fevers. And it was so crazy being sick and being tickled. Because like at one point, my fever was like almost close to dying.
Oh, wow.
I was standing there holding these aspirin because they're trying to break my fever, Tylenol or something. And they keep taking that little cup and they dancing around like lottery balls. I'm laughing and I get them down and I start to realize like, dang, I am really sick and I'm tired of being sick. I'm talking to my wife and she goes, well, hang in there with me. And when she said that, about a week later, I started walking. And once and it just took a few steps at a time and then come back. And then before I knew it, I was walking 3 miles. And then I started to change my diet. I changed my diet. And the first thing I did, I just ate proteins and fruit or vegetables. And I lost 60 pounds.
Wow.
And I'm saying, like, you know, if you discipline yourself and just say, this is all I got and just eat that, and you'll find that the weight will fall off. And then after that, I became vegan because I was watching some stuff on TV. Now, I'm not a perfect vegan. I still got food addictions because that's what my problem is. And if I go by my mother's house and she got coconut cake,
you're gonna get some coconut cake.
But by reducing meat, like by taking meat all the way, because I don't eat any meat, and I eat very like holidays okay, but outside of that, so by doing those things, what winds up happening is that my heart function started coming back.
Come on,
I got much better everything. And then I got a transplant in 2019, right before the pandemic.
Wow.
And now I get to do whatever I want to do when I want to do it. And that's why we're doing the tour. That's why I'm back on letting everybody know creators need to protect their creations.
Yes. Now let's talk about the creation. Toby Jones. Now I know this was something that you were casted in. Right, you were casted in by, I guess, what two brothers, if I'm correct.
Well, initially it was the 2 brothers were there, but initially it was a group called Big Dog Eat Child. It used to be 8 of those guys. And those are the 2 guys that came up to me. And then after we started talking, they all decided that they wanted me to represent this Toby Jones character because it was something that Romero Castro, one of the 2 brothers. Pedro and Romero. Romero Castro came up with the name and the idea of Toby Jones. Based on standing in a line in a building at a guy who was directing the line.
Yes.
And when he told me about the character, and I'm sitting listening to him, and I could see why he couldn't do it. Let me just tell you just a little bit of tiny little bit of background that I haven't told a lot of people, but I need this to be understood.
Mm-hmm.
When I grew up in the 70s. When I was a kid, I lived next door to a pimp. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what I learned from him, there's a positive and a negative to everything.
Right.
And one thing I learned about him is he understands humanity to a level that a lot of people don't. You see, like if you strip off everything else, the only thing that really matters in America is capitalism. And he understood that, right? And so when I tell you, when I give this energy that this is because I understand the value of Black women particularly.
Come on.
They are saving this democracy single-handedly. And not only that, they look wonderful doing it. And if you're nice enough to one of them, they might give you a little you. I see no reason not to support Black women and then support Black business secondarily.
That's
because
right.
Black women are keeping all this stuff together.
That's right. That's right. And holding it down it down so gracefully.
Man.
So you get this role and it goes viral. It goes viral. How, first of all, you did something in this, which I would have never done. You put your real number on the commercial. And I'm like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. Mr. Hines did not put the number on the, okay. All right, so he's taking it there. So you do this, you become Toby Jones. This is who you become. And then you make Jones barbecue and foot massage.
Okay.
Which to me,
go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, which to me was the funniest thing I have ever seen, because I live in New York, and if somebody told me there was a barbecue and foot massage, I would be there every day. So let's talk about the process of going viral, right? And how was that feeling for you to know that Toby Jones wasn't just some one-time thing? He became, this character had become a lifestyle. So how was that for you?
So the first thing that happened that was really interesting to me is that, I do tend to go on tangents. I'm sorry, I'm got some really great bud and some coffee. So the answer to your question is this. The first thing that happened is that they came to me and asked me to do the character. Mm-hmm. So when they brought me the character and they took me to the setting, it was a place they had sent me a script, and I looked at the script and I'm like, there's some shit in here there's some things in here that's just not you. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And so as I'm looking at what they're telling me, and here's the thing, Pedro is a true artist.
Yes.
And Pedro will put you in a position to do some things, and he'll let you run with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Romero is the dude, like, I need you to do this, I want this, I want, he's that, he needs control.
Yes.
So we're sitting there and they start giving me their gags, and I was like, oh, I know exactly who this is. And for me, it was a pimp like Don DC Curry.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? When you get talking, you cannot stop. Nothing can slow you down.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I am not going to stop selling. This is South Side of Chicago, next door pimp energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot let anything. And in my mind, that was Don DC Curry selling barbecue.
Right. Right.
Now, this was before the Jones barbecue thing happened. It was like, I started going, bam, 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 bam. And then they started taking me in this yard. And then some of the stuff that they did was exactly how they wrote it. But most of it was me coming up with it.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, in the very first one, the one thing that made that one stand out, that there was their joke uniquely, was when I pushed that shit off the stairs. That big box. That's all they had, pushed off stairs. I already know once you push this, it's gonna make a lot of noise.
Right.
So you just stand there and wait for the noise to stop. And then speak again. Don't say a word until that. You said that little something made that joke 10 times funnier than what they wrote it.
Right.
And instead of giving me credit for that, they decided I was merely an actor. And they started to control the character. So then with the phone number thing, that's one of the things that made it extremely unique, because people thought that it was real. And the Jones barbecue thing went crazy because of the jingle. Right.
The jingle. Right.
The jingle changed everything. And the jingle happened because we couldn't get into the location. It was on 119th and Western. It used to be a Harold's chicken right there on 119th and Western. And the day that they thought they were going to be able to shoot, they weren't able to get in the location. So they had that big old uniform thing, and we started doing a can. And it was like, sing something. And I started singing. And that's where Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage came. And it would have been longer if they would have just let me keep going. Everybody on set started laughing when I got to that part. And it just broke the whole rhythm up. And then we never went back to it. We just But now I have written the song. I've completed the song, and I'm getting it produced, and I'm gonna release it.
We can't wait. We are excited. I heard you promote it today. We are really, really excited. You also spoke about owning the songs, and I didn't even realize you didn't own this. I didn't realize that. So how long was it before you were able to now own this and copyright it and have it for you?
December. December. And it was a sister that made that happen.
Wow.
She was like, well, wait a minute. You saying that you came up with this while y'all was standing outside? I said, yeah. She said, they never asked you to license this, did they? I said, no. In addition to that, they never, it's just a bunch of stuff that they didn't do right. And it just ended up in me being able to at least say, okay, yes, this is what happened. This is where I can show providence. And this is where I can show you how it happened.
Right.
And because of that, you know, and please keep in mind, bro, it was time after time. We could have made millions of dollars with this character. And I would ask them to just allow me to do it, and let's see what happens.
Right.
And they would inevitably, they would ask for way more than it was worth at the time, and would not allow me. Again, South Side of Chicago pimp energy.
Right.
If you want to sell something bad enough, give a sample out.
Give a sample out. Yeah, exactly.
Let me do this in this one region, watch what happens. Because I already know. And that is what I mean. And that's what I want to tie all this together to what you said earlier. The truth about the art of comedy is when you are at your best is when you find a way to generationally show your part of the pain that is white supremacy in America.
Come on.
Every one of your comics that have always, when you talk about Richard Pryor, even if you go as far back, Flip Wilson dressing as a woman, when you get through, that sister was on point. You understand what I'm saying? And when you get to that level of thought, you know, that's when your stuff start to pop.
Right.
That's when your stuff start to pop.
Right.
So as a new artist, find where that pain is, find your personal part of white supremacy, put it on display, and watch the money roll in.
That's so true. You know, and being in this business for a while, what is something that you carry along with you everywhere that you go, no matter what rooms you walk in? What is something that you've learned that you now carry with you up until today?
There's a couple of things, but the two that come to mind right now is Bernie would always talk about not cheating an audience. It would be times where he and I would be out and it would just be like two people in the audience.
Right.
Like, man, this finna be some bullshit. And he's like, nah, this ain't finna be some bullshit. What it's finna be is you have to learn how to be funny.
Right.
And if you, what you got to do, this is what you got to do.
That's right.
And that taught me one thing. And the other thing is that I figured out I was fairly likable.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's important. If you're a human being that when you walk in the room, everybody get happy, that's kind of important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are always glad to see you, then there's something special about you.
I love what you said, and I want to reiterate this because I think especially business owners and entrepreneurs, you need to hear this. The same energy that you would give 200 people should be the same energy that you give the 2 people. The same exact energy. They are equally as important. And I feel like a lot of business owners feel defeated when they feel like the thing that they're trying to do is not being viewed or not being brought or not being seen by a large audience. But it's not about quantity, but the quality that you're being given or that you're spewing out. You know what I mean? So I love that. Yeah.
You're just gonna be consistent and be patient with yourself.
Right.
The thing that you did at the beginning of what you're doing is not gonna be the same as the way it was at the end.
Come on.
Build on those positives. But that was the 2 things that Bernie actually taught me himself that stayed with me. That you can't cheat an audience, and you know, you cannot, like, these people made you their evening.
Right.
And
exactly.
They came out to see you, and how you gonna not treat them like they did?
That's right. That's so right. Let's talk about the Save Toby Jones Tour shop. What inspired you to want to do this and give? I know you said after you got the transplant, you were motivated. But what else motivated you to want to get back out there and bring back the character as well as make it a shop? There's merchandise here that's going on. Talk about that.
My attorney that helped me out so much, shout out to the Latte Lawyer, put me in touch with my publicist.
Yes.
Actually, when I told her what was happening, was like, you don't see how special this is? Like, I was just too busy being in the middle of it.
Right. Right.
I was too busy in the middle of doing it. And she gave me the idea of the theme based on things that we talked about. And this beautiful situation right here. I just love this thing.
It is amazing.
It helped me to realize that I have a value. Yeah. Also, all of these things culminating at the same time. When you build on those positives, and all of these things have culminated at the same time, they start to build a bridge of positivity that you cannot deny.
You were able to head back to Chi-Town to be on the newest season of HBO Max, Southside. For those of you who have not seen Southside, it follows two young men who graduate from community college and want to take the world by storm. And it filmed in Inglewood. And if anybody knows where Inglewood is at, you know it ain't the best. But you were able to be a part of the season. How was that for you?
Amazing. I had a great time with those guys. But I tell you, that Bashir dude, the guy who plays the cop.
Yes.
Oh my God, that man is amazing. Like I was mesmerized by his energy. He was giving out orders and putting people in place, and it was a beautiful thing to see because I'm also creating television.
Yes.
So when I'm looking at him, I'm looking at my hero. Right? Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is how I want stuff to run.
Yes.
And when he started talking to me, I wasn't prepared because I was so caught up in it.
You were once again in the middle of it.
Yes. And I looked around like, oh my God, dude, it was an amazing experience. Chance the Rapper is everything you think he is. One of the sweetest human beings on the planet.
Yes.
And you know, they loved Toby Jones.
Yes. We saw the video. I premiered the video on my page about Steph Curry and Chance the Rapper dancing to the song.
And all of that happened because of Laugh Out Loud on Facebook. Because of you got to admit that Kevin Hart is a special man.
Yes.
That man has influence on people that he don't even know. I've never met him. He wouldn't even know I existed outside of seeing me as Toby Jones. And he gave me a little bit of love. And the next thing you know, I was on Good Morning America and the NBA was talking about it.
Come on. So what is something that people will be surprised to know about you?
I love kids. Like I always thought I'd have a house full of kids. It didn't work out that way because the jail made me feel like if I got to feed my kids doing this shit, but I just enjoy the way they think, and I can see where we can invest in ourselves in the future by giving them the attention that they deserve.
Do you think that at any point in time you would want to create a program for young youth to, you know, be molded, especially young comedians, aspiring comedians?
I was just talking about an animated series with somebody, a way of, again, we all have our experiences in America, and a way to help a whole generation to realize what was happening to the men in their family while they were in jail, and why they were put there in the first place.
Right.
And I think that I was thinking about maybe doing an animated series about that.
Well, that would be nice. That would definitely be nice to watch and be a part of. My last question to you today would be, what piece of advice would you give to upcoming comedians?
Oh my goodness. Well, the most important thing is to know that you got to have a thick skin. These are a few tips that this would be like 5 things I would say, you know, like, or at least, well, here's what I would say. You got to have a thick skin. Not everybody's gonna like you. If you find anything, if you get a glimmer of something that you can work with, keep that, and the rest of it, throw it away and get over it. The second thing I would say is understand exactly how a joke is set up. This is the most important. I'm not gonna say anything else after this because this is what's most important.
Yeah.
setup and punchline. That's what this is. Now, you are either a storyteller or a one-liner, but whatever you are, figure it out. You may be a little bit of both. But whenever you get to that joke, a story joke would have a bunch of setup with a lot of little punchlines and a big punchline at the end. And if the concept doesn't seem funny to you in the joke, it's not the joke's fault. It's just that you got to reword it. And
Come
then
on.
you got to find the right emotion to get the point across. And that is all it takes to become excellent at this game.
I love that. I love that. And being consistent. Being consistent, even when it feels ugly, you know? So how can people be a part of the Robert L. Hines experience? How can they be a part of the Save Toby Jones Tour? And what else do you have coming up that you can share with us?
Okay, so first of all, please, please, please go to my YouTube channel. It is where you met me first. Robert_L_Hines on YouTube. The same on Instagram and Robert L. Hines on Facebook. Go to all of those, like and follow, but most of all, YouTube. I am putting up content that is deeply from my soul and that we talk about our experience, and I try to represent us in a positive way, even having been in law enforcement.
Yes.
So please check that out. Also, check out that South Side. That show is getting funnier and funnier, and that man is amazing. So please check out South Side.
Yes. Everybody, this is Mr. Robert L. Hines. You are now a part of the Courtney Stark family, and I'll welcome back here at any point in time. Thank you for being the second guest to make today great. I can go to bed now with a smile because I've had a good 2 days. Everybody, once again, thank you for showing your love to One-on-One with Courtney Stark. The king, of course, for me is Mr. Robert L. Hines. Make sure that you are following him. We love you. We truly do. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.